Delaware Memorial Bridge. From its heights, 97 people have leapt to their deaths. Because of the Delaware River's predictable currents, all but 5 of the bodies have been recovered. On April 4th, 1989, the river apparently claimed victim number 98. In the early morning hours, 2 unidentified commuters reported to a toll booth operator that they had seen a man walking alone on the bridge near a parked car.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'll report it. Okay.
The Delaware State Police were dispatched to the scene. They located the car, its engine still running. The car's owner was nowhere to be found.
Got a wallet on the front seat, Robert.
On the front seat was a wallet. In it, a Pennsylvania driver's license belonging to 29-year-old Robert Corrado. On the dashboard was a suicide note.
Looks like we have a jumper. All right. Gotta call fire and rescue. We'll get some boats out here, okay? Okay.
For the next 3 hours, boat rescue teams conducted an extensive search of the river and combed its banks.
There was a search. No body was recovered. And according to the Delaware Bridge authorities, of the nearly 100 people who have jumped from the bridge since it opened in 1952, nearly 95% of the bodies have been recovered. When the FBI received information that Robert's body was not recovered, they immediately became suspicious.
Robert Corrado was due to stand trial for grand theft and drug dealing in just 6 days. Immediately the question arose, was it a genuine suicide, or had Corrado staged his own disappearance, leaving his parents to pay his $250,000 bail?
I didn't really feel as though he could have just, walked out on his family. I think the decision to commit suicide was the simpler solution to the big problem in his eyes.
A mother's anguish, a friend's betrayal. Evelyn Corrado believes that when her son's best friend and business partner turned against him, it helped push Robert towards suicide. The FBI disagrees. They believe that Robert Corrado is hiding out somewhere in the United States. Along with 2 partners, Robert Corrado owned a thriving auto body shop 60 miles from Baltimore. In less than a year of operation, Rising Sun Motors netted close to $1 million.
How's it going? What's up, Rob? I sold the Mazda.
No one outside the business had any idea that Robert Corrado was a convicted thief who had served just under 2 years in prison. Rising Sun Motors was, in fact, the front for an extremely profitable auto theft ring involving a huge network of people.
I think we can do it by tomorrow morning. What do you think? Yeah. This looks like a winner. I know.
Corrado and one of his partners, Eric Shaw, often stole the cars themselves. Shaw was also a convicted thief.
We specialized in Mazdas, RX-7s, and they were really easy to steal. We were stealing cars off the street from dealerships, and we were buying cars from other people that were stealing cars. Wherever we could get them from, we'd get them, we'd buy them or steal them ourselves whenever we needed.
On April 21st, 1988, acting on an anonymous tip, the Maryland State Police and the FBI raided Rising Sun Motors.
FBI, State Police, stay where you are. You have a search warrant. Put your hands on the counter. You stop! Get him! Get off! Yo, Bob, what's this, man? Hands up behind your head.
What are you doing? Come on.
Your hands down slow, behind you. Left hand, keep your right hand on your head. Right hand behind you.
Robert Corrado and Eric Shaw were arrested. The Maryland State Police confiscated 4 stolen cars, 30 pounds of marijuana, and a pound of cocaine. Corrado and Shaw were charged on 32 counts, including grand theft and distributing drugs. The two partners faced up to 20 years in prison. Corrado's bail was set at $250,000. His parents posted bond, and the trial was set for September 13th, 1988.
Well, let's talk about this plea agreement, or at least that
At the
portion
trial,
that we have.
Eric Shaw was a state star witness.
Let me ask you this.
He testified against his friend, Robert Corrado, and their other partner in exchange for a lighter
No, it's
sentence.
not what I expected.
What did you expect?
I
I
expected
had mixed
to
feelings
get some
about it at
time.
first, but it was basically the right thing to do. I mean, I came out of it pretty good, and if Bob had cooperated, I think he wouldn't have been hurt too bad either.
At one time, you know, Eric worked for me, and I treated Eric just as I treated my own. If I fixed lunch for them, I fixed lunch for Eric. And I often wondered, Eric, how could you have done this, you know?
What did you expect?
And Robert had mentioned that, yes, he was approached or offered the same thing. But in view of the fact he felt that there would be so many people who would be hurt by that, that he couldn't do that.
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach the bench, please?
Despite Eric Shaw's testimony, a mistrial was declared due to a legal technicality. Robert Corrado was ordered to appear for a second trial on April 10th, 1989. On April 4th, Robert Corrado was on the bridge where his mother believes he killed himself.
During the 6 months of the waiting period between one trial and another, things were getting tougher on him. There was one evening that he came by, and he literally sat and cried. And again, I think it was because he realized how his life had taken such a terrible turn.
The FBI believes that Corrado had been making regular trips to Atlantic City, gambling heavily and losing. A parking stub in his abandoned car showed that Corrado had been in Atlantic City on the night of April 4th.
Maybe when he was in Atlantic City, things didn't go well. Maybe it just seemed like total despair. I know he was on medication, a painkiller for a back injury. He could possibly have been drinking. Maybe the whole feeling of hopelessness had reached a point that this was what his decision was, to hastily write a note and just solve the problem once and for all.
Robert Corrado's suicide note was an odd combination of remorse and anger. It read in part,
Sorry, folks. I've had it. To the ones who cared, I'm sorry to go out like this. To Eric Shaw, come see me soon. I'll be waiting for you in hell. Love you, Mom and Dad. Please don't be sad.
The FBI and local authorities believe that the suicide note was simply a part of Robert Corrado's scam. Although his Pennsylvania driver's license and his car were found on the bridge, Corrado also held an illegal Delaware license which was never recovered.
Bob knew how to forge. He was good at that. I mean, we could always get ID and be somebody else. It was no problem. It's no problem at all.
Authorities even theorize that Robert Corrado waited on the bridge for an accomplice to pick him up and drove to the toll booth where they reported observing a man on the bridge. The toll operator saw no reason to take the names of the men or the license plate number of the car. Their identities remain unknown.
Robert may have felt that if he was considered dead, his parents would not be financially responsible for the bail money. But until a body is found, they are responsible for the $250,000.
I feel he's out there. If he was going to commit suicide, I don't think he would have jumped off that bridge. It's a little dramatic. He would have did it some other way.
It never comes to rest because There's no grave that you can go visit or put flowers on. You just don't know. And it's like, and it will never end.
If he is alive, Robert Corrado would today be 30 years old. He has brown curly hair, weighs 160 pounds, and is 5 feet 11 inches tall. He has brown eyes and wears glasses. Corrado may be working in the computer field or the auto body business. Before he disappeared, Robert Corrado told a friend that he planned to obtain a South Carolina driver's license under an assumed name. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Robert Corrado, please contact your nearest FBI office or call our toll-free number, 1-800-876-5353.